It's called Debs, motherfucker. What's my shit, bitch?
I had a pretty traumatizing event happen to me. Um, and I do not know if I can even disclose the full details of that event due to security concerns. But I can tell you that I had a very close encounter where I thought I was going to die. And you have all of those thoughts where, at the end of your life, and all of these thoughts come rushing to you. And that's what happened to a lot of us on Wednesday. And I thought I did not think, I did not know if I was going to make it to the end of that day alive. Wednesday was an extremely traumatizing event. And it is not an exaggeration to say that many, many members of the House were nearly assassinated. It's just not an exaggeration to say that at all. We were very lucky that things happened within certain minutes that allowed members to escape the House floor unharmed.
Hi there, YouTube. Bong's here. Thank you for joining me. So I did release my episode of Bong Commentary last night. Took me a couple days to edit. I am sorry for the wait. I've just been, finishing up with this whole COVID business. I slept for a couple days, and I went and got my retest, my rapid test, and it is negative. I am finally COVID negative. I'm not really feeling any of the symptoms anymore, besides some like mild, stomach issues, but it's slowly passing. But yeah, my boss was generous enough to pay for the rapid test. So I am back at work. I'm going back to work in my full time dash overtime job. So my releases for the channel will be a little bit more steady, a little more scheduled. Um, but please join us and please subscribe. But I did want to talk about a couple things this morning, mostly involving Trump, exactly how DC is reacting to him, his plans to leave, which he has announced that he's going to be leaving before the inauguration, which he won't be attending, and exactly how the transition is going down, because some of it is pretty suspect and hilarious. But before we get to that, let me get to our Bed Bath and Bong's Wake and Bake here. I'm excited. Alrighty. Ooh, I love the smell of this weed, man. It's very lemony fresh. Still smoking on that mimosa, in case you're wondering. And another story I wanted to look at is the fact that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is calling for the expulsion of politicians like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, who has voiced full-throated support of these Capitol stormers and have constantly pushed the conspiracy theories that Trump won this election, even though there's no evidence to it, and it's just built around a bunch of horse shit. And AOC, I think, is perfectly correct in demanding their expulsion. It is very similar to the case back when Abraham Lincoln took office, and many of the politicians in Congress were expelled for unconstitutionally opposing his inauguration. And cooperating in plots to kill the president. I feel like what they've done is enough to expel them if they do not resign. Make them leave. They are not worthy of being in the Congress. They are some of the worst scumbags there. This is courtesy of Raw Story. On Thursday, Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took issue with the statement issued by Senator Ted Cruz condemning the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, noting that his statement takes no responsibility for his craven, self-serving actions and accusing him of fundraising off the riot. This is the tweet. Senator Cruz, you must accept responsibility for your craven, self-serving actions that contributed to the deaths of 4 people and how you fundraised off this riot. Both you and Senator Hawley must resign. If you do not, the Senate should move for your expulsion. Ted Cruz gives a series of tweets that are kind of irrelevant, calling her a socialist, calling her a liar, even though we all see what you've done, Ted. And he just goes on about jobs and taxes, blah, 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 just a bunch of, normal Republican talking points. And then she immediately confronted him with screenshots about leading the fight to reject electors 2 hours after the Capitol was breached. If it was up to me, Ted Cruz and his Tea Party buddies, along with Trump, would be fucking arrested. So ever since the Capitol siege riots that Trump encouraged, his approval rating has hit a historic low of 29%. As favorability with Republicans nosedives in general as well. According to a new Pew Research Center survey, Trump's approval with Republicans has plummeted 17 percentage points since August, largely due to the siege. He was impeached on Wednesday for a second time over his role in inciting the violent insurrection. President Donald Trump's approval rating plummeted after the U.S. Capitol siege. It was conducted from January 8th to January 12th, the poll. Trump is now leaving the White House with the lowest approval of his presidency, sitting at 29%. That marks a drop of 9 percentage points since August. Compared to other presidents, Trump's job approval was remarkably steady through most of his tenure, according to Pew. Never went above 45, but it never went below 36. That changed after the siege, where even with Republicans, he has tanked 17 points. Still a majority of Republicans approve, though. It was sitting at 77% with Republicans, and now it's sitting at 60%. So he hurt himself quite a bit with Republicans, not as much as you would think, though. And as many of you have probably already expected, Trump has said he's not going to be at Biden's inauguration, and Biden doesn't want him there either. So it's sort of a mutual thing. We have an article here. Let's say Trump is expected to leave the White House morning of Biden's inauguration. He's expected to depart D.C. next Wednesday morning. The administration official confirmed Friday. Trump has said he will not be in attendance to see his successor sworn in, but aides have previously expected the president to leave the White House a day early and go to Florida, probably Mar-a-Lago. That will allow Trump to depart on Air Force One, since he is technically still president. And it looks like the president has forgone the usual victory lap that many presidents have taken. I did see an article as well, where the military isn't giving him the usual farewell ceremony that they have been giving presidents since Ronald Reagan took office and then left office. What a petty, petty man. So this next article is pretty interesting. So there's been this long-standing policy for U.S. presidents where gifts and items given to them by foreign leaders as a matter of like diplomatic affairs, the president's allowed to accept them, but he's not allowed to keep them past his tenure as president generally. It belongs to the American people at that point. It's usually handled by the National Records Archive or a presidential library of some sort. But it looks like Trump and his goons are just looting the White House. It's his very own Nazi-rific object de art. Let's see here. A bust of Abraham Lincoln was seen being taken out of the West Wing this afternoon. And then White House advisor Peter Navarro was found leaving with a framed portrait of Trump and the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Let's go ahead and bring that picture up. Oh, I can never log into Twitter. Oh, okay. It's amazing. He almost looks pissed off that they caught him and they're taking a picture of him. So I think that's all I need to know. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious what they're doing. They're fucking just stealing shit from the White House and being as petty as possible on the way out. And these are the people that are considered Christian. Seem like just fucking petty ass Nazis to me, but you know.